Nutshell, this question is requiring us to express the value of t as t is equal to 9x over u. So they're asking us to make a sketch of the velocity time graph of this information for the motion and show that capital T is equal to 9x over u. So let's get started. Two stations A and B are a distance 6x meters apart. A train starts from rest at A. So it means that if it's going to start from rest at point A, it means that its initial velocity is 0. That's what we mean when a body starts from rest. Its velocity is 0. So it starts from rest at A and accelerates uniformly to a speed u meters per second. So from right here, if it's accelerating uniformly, remember by definition from our theory, that acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. So it means that if an object is accelerating uniformly, it means that the rate of change of velocity is uniform. It means the rate at which velocity is changing is uniform. So it means that it accelerates uniformly up to a certain speed, u meters per second. So it means it's going to accelerate up to a certain speed, u. Of course, when we are talking about speed, speed is just a scalar quantity. Velocity is just speed within a specified direction. So its speed is u meters per second, covering a distance of x meters. So it means that it moves from here to here. The area under this graph represents the distance covered. And so the distance covered is x meters. So the distance covered here is x meters. So the question continues. The train then maintains this speed until it has traveled a further 3x meters. So it's going to maintain this speed of u for some time. But while it's maintaining this speed, it travels 3x meters, a further 3x meters. So it means that the area under the graph from the point it started maintaining this speed to where it stops, here the speed maintained here is 3x meters. So it means the area under that portion of the graph is 3x meters. Then the question continues to say it then retards uniformly to rest at B. Then so meaning right here it's going to retard to rest. When it's retarding to rest, it means that it retards to a point where its velocity is 0. So it means that it's going to retard back to u is equal to 0. It retards to velocity is equal to 0. It retards to rest. And the question says that it retards uniformly to rest at B. So it's going to retard uniformly to rest at point B. So make a sketch of the velocity time graph for the motion. We've already done that. This is the velocity time graph representing the motion. And show that if capital T is the time taken for the train to travel from A to B, so meaning that this was where it started from, this is where it ended. So it means that capital T is this. Capital T is this right here. From here to here is capital T. Because according to the question, they're telling us that if capital T is the time taken for the train to travel from A to B, then capital T is equal to 9x over u. So if capital T is from this point to that point, then we are supposed to show that capital T is equal to 9x over u. So we are going to use the information we have to show that capital T is going to be equal to 9x over u. So let's start answering the question. The area under a velocity time graph represents the distance covered by that particle that we are dealing with. Now, if we may go back to our question a little bit, we are being told that these two stations A and B are 6x meters apart. If they are 6x meters apart, it means that the total area under this whole region is 6x. Meaning that if we get the area of this portion plus the area of that portion plus the area of this portion, we are destined to get 6x because that is the total distance covered from this point to that point. So it means that if we are to say the total distance covered between A and B is going to be equal to the total area under this, we are able to try and get to this expression. So we'll begin by saying, so the total distance covered is equivalent to the area under the velocity time graph. So in this case, the total distance covered from A to B according to the question is 6x meters. So 6x meters is going to be equal to the area under this. Now the area, if you may look at this, this is a trapezium, and the area of a trapezium is given by a half times the height into A plus B. Now if you have to look at this, the height we are looking at here is this. This is our value of H, which is U. Then our value of A here will be this. And our value of B is that. So to substitute, we shall go on and say that that's going to be 6x is going to be equal to a half times H, which is U, into A. Now we need to get our value of A. To get our value of A, we know that the area under this portion is equivalent to 3x meters, the distance covered under this portion when the car was maintaining this velocity. And we know that the area under this portion is going to be length times width because it is a rectangle. If I may do some side work here, we know that the total area A is going to be equal to length times width. Now the total area under this portion, this middle portion, is 3x. Is going to be equal to the length which is the so-called A, times the width. The width happens to be U. So meaning that when we make U the subject of the formula there, we shall end up with our value of A as 3x over U. So it means that we come here and put our value of A is actually 3x over U. So this is going to become 3x divided by U, add that to B. Now our value of B, this whole length, so happens to be capital T, so it's plus capital T. So meaning that in this expression we shall go ahead and make T the subject of the formula and see if it arrives to this expression. So this is continuing. We shall say 6x is going to be equal to this times that is 3xu, divide that by 2u, plus a half u times capital T is a half u capital T. Of course that u will go with that. So we try and bring this that way. It becomes 6x minus 3x over 2 is going to give us ut over 2. Divide that by 1. LCM here is 2. 2 divided by 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 12x. Minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3x. Is going to give us ut over 2. 12 minus 3 is going to give us 9x over 2 is going to be equal to u capital T over 2. Making T the subject of the formula means we multiply 2 on both sides here and divide through by u. You shall end up with capital T being equal to 2 times 9x over 2 and divide that by u. So that 2 goes with that. You remain with capital T here, giving us 9x over u. Now 9x over u so happens to be what we have proved. Using the information that had been given to us in the question, we've been able to prove that capital T is going to be 9x over u. So that answers the
This brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out other excellent videos on the channel and don't forget to subscribe. For Kisembo Academy, this is Arnold Rangakuramia helping you manifest excellence.